How's it going, everybody? It's Stock Picks by Tim, and today's video we're gonna go over Cleanspark and some recent news that is somewhat slept on in my opinion. You know, just looking it up on Google, it doesn't pop up for me at least. I had to go to the Investor Relations tab on their Cleanspark website to find it. But we've got some great news, and they're actually increasing their guidance by the end of the year. We're going to get into all the little details. We're also going to look at the chart, and we're going to look at Bitcoin. We've got some patterns going on here, a nice breakout of resistance, if you will. And let's take a look. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Definitely appreciate you guys, and let's get into it. Now, first off, going into the news article, and remember, I will leave you all the links down below, as well as some links to some free cryptos and stocks, and the Discord, so check it out. But Cleanspark just exceeded their 2022 guidance 2 months early. They're now at 5 exahash, raising their year-end guidance now by 10% to 5.5 exahash. And their hash rate has grown a whopping 150% since January. Now, what does this all mean? Now that they're ahead of schedule, now that they're at 5 exahash, they are mining 19 Bitcoin. They reached a high of 19.2 Bitcoin on the day, and they did mention that they still expect to meet their 2023 year-end guidance of 22.4 exahash. That would make it one of the largest publicly traded Bitcoin miners in the world. Right now they're in the top 3, and I believe with their aggressive growth strategy they're going to remain in the top 3, if not even gain more market share, become top 2, become the #1 miner. And as said by Zach Bradford, our hash rate growth over the last few months has been helped along with the acquisition of the Washington and Sandersville facilities, but that only tells part of the story. This milestone reflects operational prowess and efficiency gains that I believe are unmatched in our industry. In a period where the sector is experiencing reversals in forward-looking expectations, we are bucking that trend. We've hit our previously stated year-end guidance 60 days early, 2 months early, thanks to our excellent teams, and we are thus able to raise our year-end guidance to 5.5 exahash. I think this is absolutely fantastic news and could be partly why the stock ran up so much yesterday. It's also going up today, but so is the overall market. And I've got one more quote for you, then we're gonna look at some charts here. But this one's said by Gary, the CFO, and we've had a recent video actually featuring him, so if you want to check that out, I'll leave you guys a link below. Maybe I'll leave you a card up above or something. But he goes on to say, the effective deployment of our capital strategy has allowed us to exceed hash rate expectations. Crucial to that strategy has been our long-held commitment to selling a portion of the Bitcoin we mine to fund growth and operations. As our hash rate has grown, the amount of Bitcoin we produce has also grown, creating a virtuous cycle that has allowed us to seize opportunities for growth and expansion. Come on, okay? Love you. Now let me know, guys, how you feel about this in the comments below. They continue to beat expectations, continue to revise to the upside in terms of their growth. But let's take a moment now, look at Bitcoin and Cleanspark on the chart. We've definitely got a lot going on there recently. And looking at Bitcoin, you'll see that we did have a nice break out of that 20,500 resistance I mentioned. And once we broke out of that, we almost brought ourselves up to 21,000. I personally think it's a great thing to see Bitcoin outperforming the overall market. I mean, just yesterday, the overall market, the SPY was up about 1%, Bitcoin was up around 5%, Ethereum was up around 10%. If we can continue to see this, I think this will cushion the blow if the market does really start turning around and dropping hard. I'm hoping that Cleanspark, even Bitcoin, of course, the overall crypto industry won't drop as much as the overall market. And when the market does rise, we get exponential gains on the crypto industry, on those risk on assets, because they have been so beaten down. And just looking through history, every bear cycle, every crypto winter, Cleanspark typically comes down, tests its previous peak, sits around there for a while, and then goes back on its rocket ship to the moon. And one thing that's a bit concerning that you should keep an eye on is if we find resistance here, which we already are, we could start pulling back, come under this resistance, this 20,500, have a little bounce, curl back at resistance, and pull down, creating this head and shoulders here. So we'll see where it goes after that. Maybe we'll get some more sideways action, maybe we'll have a retest to the resistance, or maybe we'll follow this trend down. But in my opinion, I think Bitcoin is a great time to DCA. Regardless of a little run up here, I like to just throw some money at it every once in a while. I don't pay too much attention to where the price is going. I prefer to buy on red days. I prefer to buy when we're not up 5%, not having, the little short-term euphoria rally. You could argue that now isn't the time since we've ran up the last couple of days, but I would argue that we're still not even a third of the value of our previous high. And I do believe that Bitcoin will get to its previous high and even exceed it, even get to the 70,000s and higher into our next cycle. Now, having said that, can we potentially come under 20,000, start testing even 17 before we finally do have that definitive turnaround? I think it's possible. I'm honestly unsure of where we go from there. That's why right now, right here, I think it's still worthy of a DCA. Because yes, we could go down to 17,000, but in my opinion, in the long term, we are going to go back to those previous highs. And what's the difference of buying at 17, buying at 20 when you're talking about a $60,000, $70,000 Bitcoin? I think that difference is very minuscule, and you'll be happy if you bought 17, 18, 19, 20, even up to $30,000 Bitcoin. That's my personal opinion. Now let's take a look at Cleanspark. All right, my friends, now we have something to look at on Cleanspark, something that I think is pretty big. And this was a break of our downtrend resistance. Now this was established all the way back in 2021, right around the beginning of 2021, and this has been a resistance multiple times. And zooming in, you'll see that we had a huge reaction once we broke out of this. I mean, this is partly Bitcoin's bounce, this is partly the break out of this resistance, this is partly that great news that Cleanspark had. Either way, this all contributed to a nice pattern playing out and a breakout of this pattern. Now, will it be sustained? That's anybody's guess. We do know that the Fed will continue to raise rates. We do know that they're out to crash the housing market. They want some higher employment numbers. They want inflation to come down. So I do think the macro and just stocks in general can likely put some headwinds, put some downward pressure on Cleanspark. However, I personally think we are starting to see a little rotation into small caps. These large caps have been dropping lately. They are clearly not the trend to get into. They're in a longer term downtrend in my opinion. Stocks like Apple, you were talking about the SPY, Nvidia, Tesla, I think they're all going to potentially come down farther. But these small caps, it's really hard to say where they go. A lot of these have not broken their May 11 lows. Cleanspark is one that did break its May 11 lows. And this is all due to Bitcoin as well. A lot of these Bitcoin related stocks did break their May 11 lows while other small caps didn't. I'm talking Bingo, I'm talking Indie, ChargePoint, Workhorse, all those have not broken their May 11 lows. Now, one thing to be aware of is on the RSI, we are pretty overbought. We do have some very, very nice heavy volume coming in here. So this may likely precede a larger move to the upside. We'll just have to wait and see. I personally think it's a great time to still add into Cleanspark. I still think it's criminally undervalued. And just based on how much growth they're going to have, I mean, think about where this will be when we're mining, getting, you know, around 20 Bitcoin per day. We're already near there. We're already very close. By the year end, we will be at 20 Bitcoin per day, in my opinion. And, you know, end of 2023, their exahash will almost 4x. So even with higher difficulty, they should be still mining somewhere around, I'll put them at the year end of 2023 mining somewhere around 30 to 60 Bitcoin per day. I know that sounds crazy, but when you think about how much their exahash is planned to grow, they will be looking at a huge Bitcoin mining increase, and it's just a matter of time until we have record-breaking quarters again. And like I've said before, even a Bitcoin at $30,000 can put Cleanspark back to record-breaking quarters just because of how much exahash they've increased. Just figured I'd give you guys this quick update for Cleanspark. I definitely think this is great news for it. This could simply just be a bear market rally, but regardless, I still think Cleanspark, even Bitcoin, heck, a lot of stocks right now are great to add into, regardless of a nice little pop recently. I still think they're extremely undervalued, and looking at the long term, you know, just because Cleanspark's ran up 15-20% in the last couple days, you have to also consider, you know, this is down 60% or more just from barely a year ago. So you always got to zoom out to get the bigger picture. I personally think Cleanspark as a company is much better, and it's an insane price to think it's only $3 now when back then it was $30 and they had a much smaller exahash. It's just kind of crazy how the market works out sometimes. But I believe that money will pump back in. We will get back to that risk on market, and you and I will be the ones that bought at the very bottom, and everyone's going to complain about how easy it was for us to just get the bottom and make those huge gains. But people fail to remember how hard it was during that time to actually buy, when everyone's telling you not to buy, when everyone's telling you everything's going to go down farther. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, and you better believe I'm going to be with you every step of the way. This is definitely going to be an interesting journey. Thanks as always, guys, for watching, and take it easy.